They call it weakness. Psychology calls it something else entirely. You know this moment. Someone tears up at a commercial, or a song, or a stranger holding a door a beat too long, and everyone else in the room stays perfectly dry. Well, you may know it in yourself, too. The tears that arrive in a meeting, unbidden and inconvenient, at exactly the moment you needed to look composed. Some of the most emotionally perceptive people are also among those who cry most easily. And for decades, we have been reading that signal backwards. Tonight, we go beneath the tears, into the culture that taught us to fear them, the nervous system that makes some people process emotion more deeply, and the hidden cost of feeling what everyone else has already learned to mute. By the end, you will not see a crying person the same way, least of all yourself. This is not a story about fragility. It is a story about a nervous system that never learned to look away. When feeling became a flaw. A child scrapes a knee, hears something cruel, and before the tears finish arriving, someone says, "Stop, be strong, don't cry." That message did not fade. It got wired in, one correction at a time, until emotional expression itself was quietly reclassified, not as information, as liability. That early training does not stay in childhood. It follows people into boardrooms, into funerals, into arguments they did not start. Anywhere composure gets mistaken for competence. This was not one decision made by one person. It built up over generations, in classrooms, in workplaces, in the small correction of a raised eyebrow, until it became something people learned to do to themselves, with no one else left in the room. But composure and health are not the same. A hidden feeling is not a resolved one. So a culture built on the performance of unbotheredness did not eliminate feeling. It only pushed it out of view, and made the people who could not hide theirs believe something was wrong with them. But what happens to the people who never learn to mute the signal? The instrument without a mute. Psychologist Elaine Aron called it the highly sensitive person, a trait found in roughly 15 to 20% of people whose nervous systems process the world more deeply. Neuroimaging has found stronger activation in regions linked to awareness, empathy, and emotional processing. The same event does not enter every nervous system at the same volume. You know the person quietly wiping their eyes during a movie everyone else watches untouched, or the song that stops them mid-thought, or unexpected kindness that reaches somewhere. Words cannot. They are not choosing to make the moment larger. The moment is arriving larger. For a highly sensitive nervous system, a stranger's small act of kindness can trigger a warmth response comparable to what most people feel only after months inside a relationship. Some research even connects this depth of processing to creativity. The same nervous system that registers more also tends to notice more worth saying. It is not performance. It is an instrument that was never built with a mute switch. So if the signal comes in that clearly, where does it go once it lands? The room you carry home. Psychologists call it empathic resonance. We do not just understand another person's pain, we mirror it before choosing to. You notice a friend's forced smile, or the moment a room shifts before anyone speaks. For a highly sensitive person, that is not background noise. It is the entire foreground. A stranger's trembling voice can remain in the body long after the conversation ends. A tense room can feel exhausting even when no argument occurs. This is why some highly sensitive people leave a gathering, a family dinner, even a good party feeling strangely hollowed out. Not because the night went badly, but because they carried the whole room home with them. Some describe it as a kind of static that never fully clears, a low hum of other people's weather, still audible, hours after everyone else has gone home. And it does not end when the room does. For a reactive nervous system, the signal does not fade on schedule. It echoes. You know this moment too, replaying a conversation at midnight, wondering whether your tone hurt someone, feeling a 3-year-old memory rise again, fully formed and uninvited. This can become rumination, painful when it traps the mind, revealing when it stays long enough to uncover what the feeling was trying to say. The difference often comes down to whether the replaying ever resolves into something learned or simply loops. The same scene, the same ache, with no door out of it. And eventually, even the most finely tuned instrument must find somewhere to release what it has been carrying. The weather breaking. Emotional tears are chemically different from the tears that simply protect the eye. Researchers have found stress-related hormones inside them, although science is still debating what role that chemistry plays in the relief people feel after crying. What we know is simpler. Crying is neither chemically neutral nor merely theatrical. Something real happens in the body. That is why a genuine cry can leave someone tired, but strangely clearer. The problem remains, the pressure around it changes. Suppression carries its own cost, one that rarely gets named in the same breath as strength. Chronic emotional suppression has consistently been linked to higher markers of stress over time. There is a simpler mechanism at work too. Crying slows the breath and lengthens the exhale, which helps activate the body's own calming response, giving a nervous system already under strain a physical way to stand down. For someone who cries easily, that valve simply opens more often. Not necessarily instability, sometimes maintenance. So if the body is built to release pressure this way, why did we ever teach people to seal the valve shut? The courage of the vulnerable. You know the friend everyone calls first, not because they give the best advice, but because they listen. People who cry easily are often that friend. They notice what is not said. They hear the fracture beneath the joke and the silence asking to be noticed. They are the ones who remember a colleague's hard week months later, or notice a friend has gone quiet before anyone else in the room does. This kind of attentiveness rarely earns applause. It rarely comes with a title or a raise, but teams, families, and friendships quietly run on it more than anyone tends to admit. They stay open to grief, beauty, and the tenderness others have armored against. That openness can make life heavier. It also makes connection deeper and beauty harder to overlook. It is a strange trade when you name it plainly, less armor in exchange for a life that actually reaches you. That is not the absence of strength. It is a version of strength most rooms have simply stopped recognizing. Sometimes strength is the ability to be touched by life without becoming numb or closed, which leaves one final question. If feeling this much is a cost, what exactly is it buying? The unarmored mind. Every nervous system tunes itself to something. Some tune toward silence, a life spent minimizing signal until almost nothing gets through. That may look like strength, but numbness is not peace, and never crying does not mean nothing hurts. Others keep the instrument at full sensitivity, knowing what it cost. They remain reachable by grief, beauty, and the smallest evidence that someone cared. That is not an unfinished nervous system. It may be the most finished one there is. Not because every tear is wisdom, or sensitivity needs no boundaries. Sensitivity without boundaries can exhaust a person. Boundaries without sensitivity can harden one. The rarer discipline is holding both at once. There is no law of survival that favors the most guarded creature in the room. More often, it is the one still capable of reacting to what actually matters that adapts. But remaining open in a world that asks you to harden is its own discipline. So, which would you actually want? The mind that feels nothing, or the one that still can? Because the strongest person in the room was never the one who felt nothing.